They posted it on Facebook before I even woke up. A gold banner stretched across the top of the photo. Happy 50th Harold and Eleanor. My sister Diane stood next to our parents, perfectly posed in a blue sheath dress. My brother Eric, as usual, had one hand raised mid-toast, like he was already halfway through the party. The caption read, "So proud to celebrate our parents' 50 years of love. Can't wait for next weekend." Everyone was tagged, except me. They hadn't sent an invitation. No text, not even a forwarded link. Just silence. It wasn't new. But something about this one, that round number, that banner, that crowd of familiar names cut in a different way. My name is Ruth Morgan. I'm their eldest daughter. Or, depending on the year, the absent one. The difficult one. The one who lives too far or works too much. I sat in my kitchen phone screen, still glowing while the kettle hissed behind me. I hadn't been to a family event in over 5 years. Not since the Christmas when Mom told me gently but firmly, "Don't feel obligated to come if it'll be too much of a trip." That year, Diane flew in from Oregon with 3 suitcases and a gluten-free pie. Eric showed up late and still got the good guest room. I poured my tea, then stood there holding the cup like it might explain something. Maybe I'd been too quiet, too self-sufficient. Maybe they'd forgotten me by accident. But then I scrolled further. A tag from Diane's best friend. A comment from Mom. "We're thrilled you can come, Emily." From high school. She was invited. The teacup clinked on the counter as I set it down. 10 years ago, I left this town with 1 suitcase, a laptop, and a scholarship no one asked about. Since then, I'd built my own practice in finance, earned an MBA with honors, and now quietly managed 8 investment portfolios, 3 of which were larger than the town I grew up in. I never told them. Not because I wanted to keep it from them, but because no one ever asked. My phone buzzed. It was Savannah Clark, my best friend since 6th grade. She stayed behind when I left, runs the bookstore on Main Street now, and somehow still has tabs on everyone without trying. Savannah, "Did you see the anniversary post?" Me, "Yep." Savannah, "You okay?" I stared at the message, fingers hovering. Me, "They invited Emily." The reply came fast. Savannah, "Are you surprised? I wasn't." But I hated how much it still felt like rejection. Later that morning at the firm, I met with Lance Whitfield, my mentor for the last decade and managing partner at our firm. He didn't even glance up from his desk before asking, "They left you out again, didn't they?" I nodded. 50 years. Big crowd. Anyone bother to ask where you were? Nope. But Diane remembered the gluten-free pie. He finally looked up. "You want to skip the Henderson briefing?" I shook my head. "No, let's work." He gave me a long look, then simply said, "That's what makes you dangerous, Ruth. You take pain and turn it into strategy." I didn't respond, but I didn't disagree. It was a Thursday when I turned left out of habit instead of logic. I had no reason to drive down Lexington Street, no clients there, no meetings, nothing but ghosts. Still, the car moved on its own. And there it was. 1147, Lexington, the house I grew up in, sitting quiet behind a crooked fence and a wilting maple tree. There was a "for sale" sign out front. My foot eased off the gas. The shutters were a different color. The porch swing was gone. The lawn, once trimmed obsessively by my father, looked sunburnt and tired. I hadn't stepped foot inside that house in over 15 years, but just the sight of it knocked something loose in my chest. I parked 2 houses down and walked up. The listing flyer was curled from heat. 3. Bed. 2. Bath. New roof. Motivated seller. I scanned the realtor's number. It wasn't local. That night, I called Savannah. "They sold the house again," I said flatly. There was a pause. "Wait." Again, I didn't even know they sold it the first time. "Are you serious?" I nodded, forgetting she couldn't see me. Apparently, it was 6 years ago. Quietly. Paid off some of Eric's startup debts, I'm guessing. Did they tell you that? No, but I ran the deed history. And the LLC that bought it back then, I paused. It was dissolved after a year. Transfer to Eric Morgan Holdings Delaware registered. Oh, Ruth. I stood by the window, watching dusk settle over the city. He lost it again, and now it's back on the market. Savannah didn't say anything at first. Then, what are you going to do? I already did it, I said. I called my firm's acquisitions group this morning. We'll make an offer by Monday, clean above ask cash. She let out a low whistle. You're buying the house, I'm protecting it. The silence on the line felt heavy. Not judgmental, just history filling the space. I used to think, I said slowly, that if I'd just achieved enough, someone would notice. That maybe Mom would ask what my degree was in. That Dad would brag about me the way he did about Eric's car lot or Diane's first moot court. Savannah was quiet. I sent them every holiday card, I continued. Every address change. Even a copy of the university newsletter when I made the speaker list. They never replied. They sent a check once. $200. The memo line said, for books. I was already 2 years into my first job. Savannah exhaled. You know this isn't about you, right? I know, I said. But that doesn't mean it didn't shape me. The next day, back at the office, Lance waved me into the conference room before the Richardson prep meeting. Quick update, he said. Your pitch deck landed. Richardson's interested. I blinked. Already they want a deeper dive next week. And we got approval to assign lead strategist. That's you, Ruth. I smiled for the first time that day. What about the equity model? You'll take point on it. My chest tightened in the best way. Oh, and the managing partner vote, he added casually. I froze. That's next quarter, right? Lance gave me a look. Might move up. Word's getting around. Ruth Morgan, regional lead. Has a nice ring, doesn't it? I didn't answer. Not yet. Later that night, Savannah texted Saw the listing vanished from Zillow. It's happening, huh? I sent her a photo the purchase confirmation signed digitally that morning. Buyer RM Strategic Holdings, LLC. She replied with a single emoji, the key. 3 days after the house closed, the Grand Norwood Hotel emailed me a courtesy update. Subject line event confirmation. Morgan 50th anniversary celebration. I stared at it, then clicked. A ballroom reservation for 125 guests. A custom dinner menu. Floral arrangements ordered through the hotel's in-house vendor. Final invoice approved. Payment sponsored by RM Strategic Holdings. Me. I leaned back in my chair, the irony coiling like steam in my lungs. I hadn't even needed to intervene. The event had been booked months ago, paid through the portfolio I'd personally managed. Somewhere along the line, someone at the firm had labeled it local civic goodwill, and so without knowing it, they'd walked into my ledger, into my house. Again. Later that evening, I pulled up Diane's Facebook page. It was open to the public, always had been. The latest post was a picture of my parents standing in front of a gold 50 balloon arch, beaming. Mom and Dad's love is what we all aspire to. Can't wait to celebrate next weekend with so many who mean the world to them. Savannah texted before I could look away. Savannah. You seeing this, me? Yeah. Savannah. You okay? I typed for a long time, then erased it all. Me. They don't even know I paid for the flowers. At work the next morning, Lance was reviewing quarterly forecasts. I walked in still holding my phone. They're holding the anniversary party at the Norwood, I said. He didn't look up. The Norwood we just refinanced. The one I own 17% of. That got his attention. Going, I wasn't invited. He studied me, then tapped a pen against his notepad. So what now? I shrugged. I'm still deciding. Ruth, he said quietly, you don't owe them anything. But sometimes silence lets them keep writing the story. The day the announcement came down, Ruth Morgan named Lead Strategist Equity Division. The Norwood manager called to confirm last-minute details for the Morgan event. Everything's running smoothly, he said. Just need final sign-off on the seafood upgrade. Approve it, I said, and add the rose wall. Complimentary. There was a pause. You want me to note that for the client? No need. That night, Savannah brought over takeout and a bottle of wine. I still say you should walk in wearing something terrifying and glittery. I smiled. You know I don't do glitter. Fine, but show up. Let them feel the room shift. I looked at her, then down at my plate. Do you think they even remember I exist? I think they remember, she said softly. They just never thought they'd have to say it out loud. The lobby of the Grand Norwood gleamed under chandelier light, a quiet kind of luxury built to impress without asking for attention. I stepped through the glass doors just before 7 heels tapping against marble tile navy suit crisp hair pulled back like armor. The concierge recognized me instantly. "Good evening, Ms. Morgan. Ballroom 2. Straight ahead. And congratulations." I nodded once. No smile. Not yet. A hostess handed me the updated guest list as I passed. The names hadn't changed. Still no Ruth. But the billing code at the bottom read RM Strategic Holdings exactly as it should. I walked the hall slowly, letting the low hum of string music and clinking glass pull me closer. Just outside the entrance, I paused. Inside, laughter swelled, and through the open doors, I saw them: Diane at the podium, Eric at the open bar, my parents seated at the head table with champagne flutes in hand. I watched for a moment long enough to spot the poster boards near the buffet line, our story spelled out across 3 panels of photos, one from their wedding, one from Christmas 1998, one of Diane graduating, a blurry one of Eric holding a fishing trophy. Not a single one of me. A familiar voice behind me made me turn. Ruth. It was Emily Caldwell, Diane's high school best friend. I hadn't seen her in over 20 years. "Wow," she said, blinking. "I didn't know you'd be here. Neither did they." I said quietly, then stepped inside. The music dipped. Conversations faltered in tiny waves as my heels met the ballroom floor. A few people glanced up. Diane turned mid-sentence. Her smile stalled. Eric stared like he was seeing a ghost. My mother froze with her glass halfway to her lips. I walked to the check-in table and spoke to the staffer who looked unsure. "Ruth Morgan," I said. "Room on the list." He flipped pages, faltered, then looked up apologetically. "Actually, I don't see—" "That's all right," I said. "I'm not a guest. I'm the host." A hush fell across the room. Diane stepped forward, voice tight. "Ruth, what are you doing here?" Before I could answer, the hotel manager approached the mic on stage. "Before we begin the formal program, we'd like to thank our sponsor whose generosity made this evening possible. Ms. Ruth Morgan, representing RM Strategic Holdings." He gestured toward me. Every eye turned, including my parents, including Emily's. I walked to the front unhurried, took the mic. The silence wrapped around me like silk. "Congratulations, Mom and Dad," I said. 50 years is something to be proud of. I wasn't invited tonight, but I'm glad I could host. Gasps rippled. Someone dropped a fork. I handed the mic back and stepped down without waiting for applause. There wasn't any. My mother rose from her chair, her expression unreadable. "Ruth," she said, "can we talk in a minute?" I walked to the photo board and stared. Still not one image of me, not even from childhood. Savannah appeared at my elbow. I hadn't seen her come in. That she whispered was the cleanest power move I've ever seen. I said nothing, just looked at the picture of Diane in her prom dress framed perfectly between our parents. "I was there that night," I murmured. I took that photo. Savannah put a hand on my back. Diane stepped toward me, her voice low but sharp. Was this some kind of statement? "No," I said. This was an introduction. We ended up in one of the hotel's side salons, away from the music and the stairs. The door clicked shut behind us. My mother Eleanor crossed her arms like she was bracing against a draft. My father Harold stood just behind her, looking like he hadn't decided whether to be angry or confused. Diane lingered near the wall, arms tight across her chest. Eric stayed outside. Maybe that was better. "Ruth," my mother said first. Her voice was careful. "Why would you do this?" "Host your anniversary," I said. "You're welcome." "That's not what she meant," Diane cut in. "You embarrassed them." "No," I said. "I reminded them I exist." My father cleared his throat. "We didn't know you had anything to do with this place." "I know," I said. "That's kind of the point." He shifted his weight, ran a hand through thinning hair. "We just thought you were busy. We didn't want to pressure you." "You didn't pressure me," I said. You erased me. That landed. My mother sat down in one of the velvet chairs by the window. I pulled out my phone and tapped a few times, then turned the screen toward them. The house on Lexington. It's mine now. My father blinked. You bought it 6 days ago. After I found out you sold it to bail Eric out without saying a word. He opened his mouth, but I raised a hand. I'm not angry you sold it. I'm angry you didn't think I should know. Or that it might mean something to me. Diane spoke again, voice brittle. You left Ruth. You moved away. You didn't want any of this. I didn't want to be forgotten, I said. That's different. I turned back to my mother. When's the last time you asked me how work was going or where I lived? Eleanor looked down. You always seemed so far. I was 35 when I bought my first building, I said. No one noticed. I got promoted, twice. No call, no card, but Diane takes a sabbatical and you throw her a brunch. That's not fair, Diane snapped. Isn't it? I looked at her. You put together a wall of family photos. Not a single one of me. Not even from when we were kids. I didn't have any, she said, then faltered. I mean, I didn't know where they were. They were in Mom's attic, I said, in a box labeled Ruth College Stuff. Silence. My father finally spoke. All right, maybe we made mistakes. But this buying the house showing up here, what's the end game? There isn't one, I said. I'm not here to win anything. Then why I took a breath. Because for the first time in 20 years, you couldn't ignore me. Not without choking on the flowers I paid for. It was 2 days later when the knock came. I opened the door of my apartment expecting the delivery I'd forgotten I ordered. Instead, Diane stood there holding a worn cardboard box. Behind her were Eric hands deep in his jacket pockets and our parents looking smaller than I'd ever seen them. We thought. Diane began, then stopped. Could we come in? I stepped aside. They moved cautiously like visitors in a museum of someone they used to know. Eleanor held out the box. I found these in the attic. I didn't realize I'd kept so many. I set it on the counter. Inside were old report cards, printed out emails from undergrad, a program from my MBA graduation. You didn't come, I said. I told myself we were busy, she whispered. But the truth is, I didn't know how to be proud of something I didn't understand. Eric cleared his throat. I enrolled in some business courses, online stuff. I figured maybe if you had time, you could help me not screw it up again. I raised an eyebrow. You want me to mentor you? If you can, he said, and if you want to. Diane stepped forward. I postponed the partnership track, for now. I thought maybe, if you're still going to that summit in Chicago, I'd come, just to see what you do. She paused. I've spent so long pretending to be the capable one. I think I'd like to try actually learning something. I looked at them all, unsure what to say. Eleanor opened her hand. A single brass key rested on her palm. I don't expect forgiveness, she said. But this is the key to the house on Lexington. I thought maybe, if there's going to be a new chapter, you should decide who gets to unlock it. We sat on the patio behind my apartment as dusk folded over the skyline. I turned the brass key over in my hand. The house on Lexington, I said. If we're doing this? It starts there. Diane nodded. We'll need to clean it up. Rewire the trust, maybe. But if you want it, I don't want it, I said, meeting her eyes. I want us to mean something again. But it has to be on different terms. Eleanor leaned forward. Name them. I don't want holidays filled with polite silences. I don't want reunions where people whisper when I enter the room. If we rebuild, it has to be honest and earned. There was a long silence. Then Eric said, So what now? I looked toward the skyline. We rotate the holidays. Half here, half in Lexington. I'm not coming back to a table where I'm expected to shrink. And Christmas, Diane asked. I smiled slightly. Christmas is in Chicago this year. Boardroom by day, dinner by night. Dress formal. Try not to embarrass me. They laughed, awkward, fragile, but real. You ever sit through a dinner where everyone talks around you like you're just a piece of furniture with a heartbeat, and then one day you walk out not to disappear, but to be seen? Ruth didn't throw a fit. She didn't beg. She built. She didn't return for applause. She returned so they couldn't lie anymore about who she was. Maybe that's you. Maybe you left quietly too. Maybe you've spent years folding your pride into silence, into politeness, into a chair at the end of the table where no one really looks. But then, one day someone calls. A key appears. A question is asked softly. Can we start over? And you wonder, is it too late? For Ruth, it wasn't. Not because they earned it, but because she had changed the rules. If you've ever sat in a room full of family and still felt alone, if you've ever succeeded quietly and waited for them to notice, if you've ever held your own key and asked yourself whether to open the door or walk away, just leave a mark, a symbol, one period, one word, one breath you never got to exhale. We'll read them all, because someone out there knows exactly what you never said.
The butter sizzles in Mom's cast iron skillet at 5:30 in the morning. I flip the pancake, listening for the telltale catch in Mom's breathing upstairs. 4 days now. 4 days of those muffled sobs filtering through the heating vent, mixing with the morning sounds of our tired kitchen. Gracie? Emma's voice trembles behind me. Can you fix her? I turn from the stove, spatula suspended. My little sister stands in the doorway, tears cutting trails down her cheeks. In her hands, she cradles her beloved Molly doll, the head dangling by a thread from its cloth body. The sight punches something loose in my chest. Tommy did it, she whispers. He said I was being too loud. The television blares from the living room where Tommy sprawls on the couch, last night's homework spread untouched across the coffee table. Dad's muddy work boots rest by the front door home at 2, gone by 6, leaving nothing but the lingering scent of motor oil and midnight shifts. Let me see her. I hold out my hands, careful to keep my voice steady. The doll's stuffing spills from its neck like white blood. Emma's fingers shake as she places Molly in my palm. She's my only friend, Gracie. Please? The lunch bags wait empty on the counter. Tommy needs food for his field trip to day permission slip, signed in my careful forgery of Mom's signature. The checking account shows $16 until Friday. My throat tightens. Of course I'll fix her. I stroke Emma's tangled hair. But first, let's get you both fed. The pancake burns. Black smoke curls toward the ceiling as I scrape it into the trash, remembering another morning, 7 years ago. Standing on tiptoes at the Kroger checkout, counting food stamps with careful precision, while Mrs. Henderson peered down at me over her bifocals. Mom has the flu again, I'd explained, the lie bitter on my 10-year-old tongue. Such a responsible young lady, Mrs. Henderson had replied, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. The memory dissolves as Tommy's social studies textbook thuds against the wall. I hate this stupid assignment. Lower your voice. I pour fresh batter into the skillet. Mom's resting. Mom's always resting, he mutters, but his shoulders slump. I check my phone as the new pancake browns. The group chat explodes with prom dress pictures Sarah and Jessica at the mall, trying on sparkles and tulle. My reflection glints in the dark screen. Shadows under my eyes, worry lines creasing my forehead like an old woman's. The budget spreadsheet sits open on the kitchen counter, red numbers bleeding across the page. Only my diner tips column shows black ink, the Saturday night rushes keeping us in milk and bread. I tuck the phone away, ignoring the bright flutter of teenage normalcy. Emma perches at the table, watching me slide pancakes onto plates. Her fingers trace Molly's broken neck, and suddenly I'm 13 again, watching the school bus pull away without me. Sarah waved from the window as they left for the Washington, D.C. trip. While I turned back to find Tommy crying in a soiled diaper, Mom's door locked against the morning light. Eat up. I set the plates down, one hand brushing Emma's shoulder. We've got 20 minutes before the bus. Heavy footsteps creak overhead. Dad's irregular stumble down the stairs makes Emma flinch. He appears in the doorway, bloodshot eyes sliding past mine to the coffee maker. Your mother, his voice rasps. She needs her medication. Pharmacy closes at 8. The words hang between us like smoke. I stare at the prescription bottle on the counter, label warning of 1 refill remaining. Inside my chest, something small and tired whispers a question I refuse to voice. When does my life begin? But the butter's already sizzling in the pan, and Tommy's homework still lies scattered across the floor, and Emma's doll bleeds stuffing onto the kitchen table. So I do what I always do. I made another pancake. And I don't let myself think about the prom dress I'll never wear, or the childhood I packed away in boxes labeled someday. There's no room for those dreams in our cramped kitchen, where the morning light paints shadows across my father's vacant eyes and my mother's tears drip steadily through the ceiling. I am 17, going on 40, and this is the only life I know how to live. The same day after we went to school, Principal Henderson's voice crackled through my phone between the third and fourth period. Grace, I need you to come down to the elementary school. Tommy's been in another fight. The frog lies split open on my AP biology dissection tray, its tiny organs labeled with precise cuts I made 20 minutes ago. Sarah catches my eye across the lab table, her face pinched with worry. I peel off my latex gloves, stuff them in my lab coat pocket, and raise my hand. Family emergency, I whisper to Mr. Peterson. His mustache twitches with something between sympathy and resignation as he scribbles out a hall pass. 20 minutes later, the elementary school sits 3 blocks away, a squat brick building surrounded by cheerful murals that mock the knot in my stomach. A group of seniors slouches past on their lunch break, pizza boxes balanced in their hands. Karen Mitchell's laugh rings out, bright and careless. 4 years ago, we shared friendship bracelets and whispered secrets. Now she looks through me like I'm just another brick in the wall. Tommy hunches in the worn vinyl chair outside the principal's office, blood crusting beneath his nose. His eyes spark defiant fire when I crouch in front of him. They said Mom's crazy. His voice cracks. Said she belongs in the nut house with all the other. Stop. The word comes out sharper than I mean it to. Principal Henderson hovers in her doorway, glasses sliding down her nose. The same glasses she wore 7 years ago, watching me count out food stamps at the grocery store. Let's go home. The sidewalk stretches endless under the October sun. Tommy kicks a pebble, sending it skittering into Mrs. Wilson's prized petunias. His fingers twitch, refusing the hand I hold out. 3 missed shifts at the diner this month. My chemistry grade slipped from an A to a C+. College application deadlines looming like storm clouds on the horizon. The thoughts circle like vultures as we pass the row of pristine craftsman houses, their curtains twitching. Bless your heart. Mrs. Wilson's voice drifts from her porch, sticky sweet as sun-rotted fruit, carrying all this on your shoulders. Tommy's shoulders hunch higher. I taste copper and realize I've bitten through my lip. The kitchen light flickers at 7, casting shadows across unwashed breakfast dishes. Dad's fist connects with the table, rattling the salt shaker Emma decorated with stickers last Christmas. He's your responsibility. The words slur at the edges. Beer bottles clink in the recycling bin, a chorus of amber glass. I'm working doubles, your mother's, and you can't even keep him in line at school? My fingers curl around the dinner plate, knuckles bleaching white. The macaroni and cheese congeals, untouched. You were supposed to hold this family together. Another slam. Emma flinches in the doorway, Molly clutched to her chest. That's what you promised, remember? When your mother first. When she... The plate slips. Not from shock. Not from fear. From release. Ceramic shards explode across the linoleum like stars. 10 years old, signing my first permission slip with careful forgery. 13, missing the Washington, D.C. trip to change Tommy's diapers. 17, watching my reflection age in the bathroom mirror. I kneel in the wreckage, pieces sharp against my palms. Understanding blooms like blood. I'm not the glue holding this family together. I'm the sacrifice they've burned on the altar of their own dysfunction. Dad's footsteps thunder toward the door. The slam echoes through the house like a gunshot. Tommy and Emma hover in the kitchen doorway, their shadows stretching long across the broken plate, across my trembling hands, across 7 years of holding my breath. I'm done, the whisper scrapes my throat. In the fluorescent light, the ceramic shards glitter like possibilities. I lift my eyes to meet Tommy's gaze, then Emma's. For the first time, I see my own exhaustion mirrored in their faces. My own desperate need for anyone to say, enough. The front door creaks. Dad's truck rumbles to life in the driveway. The neighbors' porch lights flick on one by one, moths dancing in their artificial glow. I gather the broken pieces into my palm, each shard a memory, each memory a reason. When I stand, my spine straightens like a flag unfurling in a storm. Let them watch through their windows. Let them whisper their blessings and their judgments. Let the whole town see Grace Parker finally learning to save herself. Tomorrow, I'll call Aunt Marie. The next day I did, and she offered a perfect solution. 2 days later, the metal chairs in Mrs. Brennan's office squeak under my weight. Everything here squeaks: the door hinges, the ancient radiator, her wire-rimmed glasses when she pushes them up her nose. I focus on these small sounds because the bigger ones threaten to choke me. My heartbeat drumming in my ears, the rasp of breath in my throat, the words I'm about to speak aloud for the first time. Start wherever you feel comfortable, Grace. Mrs. Brennan's voice floats across her desk, gentle as a dandelion seed. A tissue box waits at the corner, pristine and untouched. I won't need it. The time for tears passed somewhere around age 13. Tommy threw a chair in math class yesterday. The words fall like stones. Dad worked a double. Mom hasn't unlocked her door since Sunday. Mrs. Brennan's pen scrapes against her notepad. I pull out my phone, hands steady now. I have pictures, if you need them. The empty refrigerator glows blue on my screen. Bills scattered across our kitchen table, red stamps screaming final notice. Mother's door, solid oak barrier between her darkness and our need. I swipe through each image with mechanical precision, while Mrs. Brennan's glasses slide lower on her nose. When did this begin, she asks. Depression or drinking? A laugh bubbles up, bitter as old coffee. Mom crashed when I was 10. Dad started disappearing around the same time. Someone had to hold things together. Her pen stills. And that someone was you. Emma was 3. Tommy was 6. They needed. My voice cracks for the first time. I press my nails into my palms until the weakness passes. They needed a mother. Mrs. Brennan finishes. Her eyes shine with something that isn't quite pity. Grace, there's a term for what happened to you. It's called parentification. When a child is forced to become the parent, to carry responsibilities no child should bear. It's a form of abuse. The word drops between us like a stone in still water. Abuse. I want to argue, to explain about love and duty and family. But my phone buzzes with a text from Dad. Handle dinner. Working late again. Mrs. Brennan watches me read it. May I see? I turn the screen toward her. Months of similar messages scroll past. Tommy needs lunch money. Emma's got a fever. Your mother's pills are running low. Each one a brick in the wall of my childhood prison. There's more. I pull up Emma's latest art project. Stick figures on white paper. Tommy, Dad, Mom, small in the background. Me, drawn tallest, a crown of responsibility heavy on my sketched head. Next comes Tommy's growing stack of behavioral reports, his anger spilling red across every page. Grace. Mrs. Brennan leans forward, her voice soft but firm. I need to make some calls. There are people who can help, who should have helped long ago. Fear claws up my throat. You can't call social services. They'll split us up, Emma and Tommy. I'm calling your Aunt Marie. The name stops my panic cold. Aunt Marie with her Christmas cards and birthday 20s, her concerned looks at family gatherings. The only adult who ever asked if I was okay, and waited for an honest answer. She's been worried about you, Mrs. Brennan continues. We've spoken several times. She's prepared to take you in, to file for kinship care, but you have to be willing to sign the paperwork. My fingers tremble as she slides a manila folder across her desk. Legal terms blur before my eyes. Temporary guardianship, educational rights, medical consent. The dotted line at the bottom waits for my signature, a door to another life. What about Emma and Tommy? The system will intervene for them too, but differently. Right now we focus on saving you. I don't know how. The confession scrapes my throat raw. I don't know how to stop being their mother. Mrs. Brennan reaches across the desk, not touching, but close enough that I feel her warmth. You start by letting yourself be 17. That night I was packed in darkness. One duffel bag heavy with essentials, clothes, textbooks, the college brochures I hide under my mattress. The house creaks around me, a familiar symphony of settling wood and broken dreams. In the kitchen, I count out Tommy's lunch money for the week, stack it neat beside the coffee maker. His behavioral reports I shred, erasing evidence of my failure to fix him. The broken crayon drawings go into the bag Emma's art, her way of telling truths we all pretend not to see. I found her doll in the sewing basket where I left it last week, head now firmly reattached. The stitches are clumsy but strong. I place it on her pillow, a silent apology for what comes next. The goodbye letter takes 3 tries. Ink smears under my fingers as I write. I love you, but I can't save you anymore. Sometimes love means saving yourself first. At 4 a.m., I carry my shoes downstairs, avoiding the squeaky 3rd step. Family photos watch from the waltz, moments frozen in time, lies we told the camera. Mom's door stays closed. Dad snores on the couch, empty bottles at his feet. Outside, Aunt Marie's headlights cut through morning fog. She steps out, arms open, and suddenly I'm running. The duffel bag drops as she catches me, holds me like I'm still small enough to be saved. Ready? She whispers. I look back at the house, at the weight of expectations crushing its foundations. Inside, a 17-year-old girl's childhood gathers dust in corners too dark to sweep. But here, in the pewter light of dawn, another truth emerges. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop holding the world together and let it fall. 2 hours later, at my aunt's house, the guest room smells like flowers. My fingers brush across lavender sachets tucked between pristine sheets, and something inside my chest constricts. No beer bottles scattered across the floor, no muffled arguments filtering through paper-thin walls. Just quiet, broken only by crickets chirping outside the window. Sleep won't come. I stare at unfamiliar shadows dancing across the ceiling, muscles tensed for the inevitable catastrophe. 10 minutes pass. 20. An hour. The silence wraps around me like a blanket, foreign and unsettling. My body doesn't know how to rest without listening to Emma's nightmares or Tommy's midnight wanderings. But nothing breaks the peace. No footsteps on creaking stairs, no sobs echoing through heating vents, just the gentle whir of central air and the soft rustle of curtains in the breeze. Sometime before dawn, exhaustion wins. I sink into the first unbroken sleep I've known in 7 years. Morning light streams through lace curtains when I finally stir. For a moment, panic seizes my throat. I've overslept. Tommy needs his lunch. Emma will be late for school. Then reality washes over me. I'm in Aunt Marie's guest room. No one needs me to fix their world today. The kitchen below fills with sounds that belong in a Norman Rockwell painting. Plates clinking, a radio playing soft jazz. The fresh scent of coffee drifts upstairs, so different from the stale morning air of home. My feet find soft carpet instead of worn linoleum. Each step down the stairs feels like entering another world. Aunt Marie stands at the counter, squeezing oranges into a glass pitcher. No beer bottles line the windowsill. No overflowing ashtrays crowd the table. There's my sleeping beauty. She smiles, crow's feet crinkling around kind eyes. Sit down, breakfast is almost ready. I hover in the doorway, fingers twitching for dishes to wash or messes to clean. I can help. Grace. She sets down the orange, wiping her hands on a checkered apron. You don't have to earn your place here. This is your home now, not your responsibility. The words hit like a physical blow. My throat closes as she slides a plate of scrambled eggs in front of me, perfectly seasoned with pepper and chives. A lifetime of hurried cereal and burnt toast floods my memory. The first bite blurs behind sudden tears. They splash onto the eggs, leaving tiny craters in the fluffy surface. Aunt Marie pretends not to notice, humming along with the radio as she pours fresh orange juice into a crystal glass. My phone buzzes. Father's name lights up the screen, followed by 3 voicemails. Get back here now. The words swim before my eyes without me needing to listen. I know their shape by heart. Another buzz. Tommy's school. Your brother was in a fight again. Please call us back regarding his behavior. The eggs turn to ash in my mouth. Aunt Marie watches as I delete the voicemails one by one, her lips pressed into a thin line. They're falling apart, I whisper. The words scrape my throat raw. Mom finally came out of her room. She's been calling and calling. Please, Gracie, we need you. Everything's wrong without you here. My sister's voice on the answering machine. Small, scared, nothing like the bright chatter I remember. When are you coming home? Tommy broke another window. Daddy's really mad. The fork clatters against porcelain. Aunt Marie's hand covers mine, warm and steady. Let me tell you what I learned from my sister, your mother. She pulls out a chair, wood scraping against tile. Some houses collapse because the foundation is rotten. Not because the walls stopped holding them up. You were never meant to be their foundation, Grace. You were meant to be their child. A knock at the door makes us both jump. Through the window, I glimpse a woman in a navy blazer, clipboard tucked under her arm. A silver badge glints in the morning sun. Child Protective Services. With my aunt, she makes future arrangements for me, to protect me, but my siblings as well. In the next few days, the kitchen I'd kept spotless for 7 years now drowns in dirty dishes, according to Mrs. Wilson next door. Emma hasn't brushed her hair in days. Tommy's knuckles are purple from punching walls. Father stammers excuses about temporary setbacks, while Mother wails behind her locked door. My phone lights up again. Another voicemail, another plea, another reminder of the chaos I left behind. With trembling fingers, I open my contacts. Block, delete, block, delete. Each tap feels like severing a limb, necessary but excruciating. The words spill into my journal, ink bleeding through cheap paper. Their chaos is not my responsibility. The acceptance letter from State University lies unopened on the nightstand upstairs. Full scholarship, contingent on maintaining my GPA. A future stretching beyond grocery lists and utility bills and other people's pain. Aunt Marie squeezes my shoulder as she passes, heading for the front door. The caseworker's voice drifts through the air, asking questions I spent years deflecting. But I'm not there to smooth things over anymore. Not there to hide the cracks in our family's foundation. I press my palms against cool granite countertops, breathing in the scent of fresh oranges and possibility. Somewhere across town, my family spins in familiar patterns of dysfunction. But here, in this kitchen filled with light, I'm learning the strange sensation of being cared for instead of carrying the weight of everyone else's world. It feels like waking up from a dream I didn't know I was having. It feels like finally coming home. And I will build my little space in the next 6 months. 6 months later, the afternoon sun streams through the yearbook room windows, catching dust motes and golden beams. I hover over the layout table, arranging candid shots from last week's track meet. Behind me, Sarah's bracelets jingle as she sorts through another stack of photos. Look at this one. She slides a picture across the table. Tommy grins up from the glossy paper, his arms raised in victory after winning the middle school cross-country meet. Your brother's actually smiling. My throat tightens. 6 months since I left, and his eyes have lost that angry shadow. The mandatory counseling seems to be working, or maybe it's living with Grandma and her ironclad routines. He's doing better. I trace the edge of the photo. They all are. Sarah squeezes my shoulder, and I let myself lean into the touch. Strange how physical affection doesn't make me flinch anymore. Strange how much healing happens when you stop being everyone's bandage. Speaking of better, she pulls an envelope from her backpack. Your calculus test. Mrs. Rodriguez asked me to give it to you. The red A gleams in the corner. My first perfect score since moving in with Aunt Marie. No more solving equations between loads of laundry or studying while Tommy and Emma sleep. The lunch bell rings, and for the first time in years, I don't have to rush home to check on anyone. Instead, I follow Sarah to our usual table where Jessica and Mike are already saving seats. Real friends, not just people who pat my shoulder and whisper, "You're so strong," when they pass me in the halls. Grace, Jessica waves a college brochure. Ohio State's social work program looks amazing. Did you see their internship opportunities? The pamphlets spread across our lunch table like a map to the future. Each glossy page represents a different possibility of all the lives I could live when I'm not living for everyone else. Marie's taking me on campus visits next weekend. The words still feel foreign on my tongue. Planning beyond tomorrow, dreaming beyond survival. Mike steals one of my French fries. After you master parallel parking, how'd the lesson go? 3 traffic cones died tragic deaths. I laugh, remembering Aunt Marie's calm voice guiding me through the church parking lot. No screaming, no blame when I knocked over the cones. Just patient instruction and encouragement until my hands stopped shaking on the wheel. The afternoon slips away in a blur of normal teenage moments. Yearbook layouts, chemistry lab partners dropping beakers, notes passed in the study hall about Jessica's latest crush. By the time my shift starts at Luigi's Italian restaurant, my cheeks hurt from smiling. The dinner rush keeps me busy, but it's different now. These tips go into a college fund, not the family grocery budget. When I mess up an order, the manager just shrugs and helps me fix it. No one's survival hangs on my perfection. The bell above the door chimes at 8, and my spine stiffens. Dad stands in the entrance, hands shoved in his jacket pockets. 6 months of sobriety have erased the bloat from his face, but his eyes still carry that desperate gleam. Grace. He takes a halting step forward. Just hear me out. Your mother's doing better, the new medication's working. She's up every day now, cooking again. If you come home, just until she's stable. The plates in my hands don't shake. The water glasses don't rattle. I set them down with precise movements, muscle memory from 1,000 careful mornings. No, the word rings clear in the quiet restaurant. I'm not your parent. I never should have been. But they need you. His voice cracks. We all need you. I'm 17. I untie my apron, letting it fall across the empty chairs. I need me too. He opens his mouth, but whatever he's about to say is cut off by the sharp click of heels on tile. Aunt Marie appears beside me, her presence solid as a shield wall. John. Her voice could freeze fire. The court order is clear. No contact unless Grace initiates it. He deflates, shoulders slumping. For a moment, I see the father he could have been, the one who should have protected me, instead of hiding behind my strength. They've assigned a new social worker. His words tumble out. She's got your mother in a treatment program. Tommy and Emma are with Mom and Dad until we prove we can be parents again. Good. I smooth my hands down my jeans. That's how it should have been all along. The silence stretches between us, filled with years of unspoken blame and broken trust. Finally, he nods, just once, and turns away. The bell chimes his exit. Later that night, I sat at my desk in Aunt Marie's guest roomy room now, with its lavender walls and curtains that actually block the light. College applications spread across the surface, each one a promise to the girl I'm finally allowing myself to be. A text from Emma lights up my phone. Molly still sleeps with me every night. Grandma showed me how to sew her arm back on properly. I smile, remembering the raggedy doll that once seemed to hold my sister's whole world together. We're all learning to mend our own broken pieces now. The sound of laughter drips up from downstairs where Aunt Marie hosts her weekly bridge club. Normal sounds, safe sounds. I open my laptop to the prom dress site Sarah bookmarked, not Goodwill this time, but a real boutique. The blue sequins sparkle on the screen, and for once I let myself want something just because it's beautiful. Tomorrow, I'll go to the homeroom and turn in homework I actually had time to complete. I'll eat lunch with friends who know my whole story and love me anyway. I'll drive to work in the used Civic Aunt Marie is teaching me to maintain. I'll come home to a quiet house where no one needs saving. I am 17. Learning how to live at the right age, in the right order. And this is the only life I want to know how to live. In June that year, sunlight streams through the auditorium windows, painting gold stripes across my graduation gown. The polyester scratches my neck, but I welcome the discomfort. It reminds me this moment is real. Principal Henderson's voice echoes through the speakers. And now, our class valedictorian, Grace Parker. My heels click against the stage steps. The dress Aunt Marie bought swishes beneath my gown, periwinkle cotton, picked from Macy's clearance rack last weekend. A real shopping trip, with ice cream after. The receipt still sits in my wallet, proof that simple pleasures exist. 2 empty chairs mock me from the front row. I focus instead on the back of the auditorium, where Emma bounces on Grandma's lap, her sundress bright against the formal blacks and whites. Tommy slouches beside them, but his fingers drum against his knee. Our secret code from childhood. I'm proud of you. The microphone hums as I unfold my speech. Resilience isn't about carrying the weight. Sometimes it's about setting it down. My voice stays steady as I tell our story, not the darkness, but the dawn after. The morning I woke in Aunt Marie's guest room, confused by the silence. No crying through walls, no angry footsteps. Just birdsong and the scent of coffee brewing downstairs. We talk about strength like it's a fortress. But real strength, that's a door. One you build yourself, then learn to walk through. In the audience, Mrs. Brennan dabs her eyes with a tissue, my guidance counselor. The first adult who said the words that saved me. This isn't normal, Grace, and it's not your fault. The speech ends. Applause thunders. I float back to my seat, diploma heavy in my hands. Through the ceremony blur, one thought circles. I made it. I'm free. 3 days later, Sunday morning in Aunt Marie's kitchen feels like absolution. Pancake batter pools in the mixing bowl, but this time my hands don't shake. No one's survival depends on breakfast. Can I flip it? Emma watches from her perch on the counter, legs swinging. She visits every weekend now. Mom's in treatment, Dad's in AA. Small steps toward a future where my siblings might have parents instead of a teenage substitute. Sure, kiddo. I pass her the spatula. Just remember. Wait for the bubbles. She grins, wielding the utensil like a magic wand. I remember everything you taught me, Gracie. The pancake lands half-folded. Emma's face falls, but I bump her shoulder. Hey, my first flip looked worse. Besides, broken pancakes taste better. More syrup pockets. Her giggle sparkles through the kitchen. Behind us, Aunt Marie hums while slicing strawberries. The room smells like butter and possibility. The acceptance letter sits propped against the napkin holder. Full scholarship to State University, social work program. My essay title stares back in crisp Times New Roman. How trauma taught me to serve wisely. You're going to help other kids like us? Emma asks between bites. That's the plan. I pour more batter, watching it spread into a perfect circle. But first, I'm learning how to help myself. Later, curled in the window seat with my journal, I write the truths that took 17 years to learn. Love doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. Saying no is sometimes the most loving thing. You can't save people who won't save themselves. Grace means setting yourself free. The words flow easier now. No more guilty whispers in locked bathrooms. No more trying to solve problems bigger than my shoulders. Sunday dinner brings my chosen family. Mrs. Brennan brings her famous apple pie. My best friend Sarah sprawls on the porch swing, planning our summer road trip. Tommy plays basketball in the driveway with Sarah's brother while Emma judges their technique. Look at you, Aunt Marie whispers, catching me watching them through the screen door. Finally getting to be young. Understanding hits like sunshine after rain. I didn't abandon my family by choosing myself. I showed them how to grow. 3 months later, the morning I leave for college dawns clear and cool. My second-hand Honda sits packed in the driveway, Emma's repaired Molly doll propped on the dashboard. A reminder of where I started, not where I'm bound. Aunt Marie hugs me tight. You ready? The sunrise paints possibilities across the eastern sky. Behind me, the house where I learned to breathe again. Ahead, a highway stretching towards something that's only mine. Yeah, I say, and for the first time, my smile reaches all the way to my bones. I'm ready to find out who Grace is when she's not holding up the world. I am 18, going on 18, and this is the beginning of the only life that matters, the one I choose for myself. The steering wheel warms beneath my palms as I turn the key. In the rearview mirror, Aunt Marie waves from the porch. Emma's doll nods with each bump in the driveway, her sewn-on smile proof that broken things can be made whole again. Not fixed, not forgotten, but transformed into something new, something real, something free.